Hello, boomers. I'm back. It's been all of 5 whole minutes, I know, but I had to come back for several reasons. One, I'm dissatisfied with that last live post. At the same time, and you can't sort it out and make a fluid thought out of it. And I just couldn't get it. I missed the train. The train had left the station on me. So I decided to come back and I want to go over some initial rescissions of executive orders and actions. This was released by the White House on January 20th, which would have been inauguration day. If you weren't here earlier, if you've never been to my channel, welcome to Midlife Priceless. My name is Margaret, and I don't have the discipline of the other bloggers, but I think you'll have fun. So, welcome to my channel. Today is not a fun day because I'm surprised at what I'm seeing here online. Why am I sharing this with you orally? Is because reading it has a certain impact, but hearing it changes things. Sometimes we gloss over things and think we read it when we really didn't. So I want to go over all of the executive orders that have been rescinded as of the 20th. There is a list, and it's interesting because I ask myself if I were a beneficiary of, I'm sorry, I'm all caught up in my stuff here. Good Lord. If I were a beneficiary of any of the original executive orders, how would I feel? What would I be thinking in terms of where this is all going? This is something I think we all need to be giving some thought to here on January 22nd at 8:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's go. The following executive actions are hereby revoked, it says. I won't be calling out the executive order numbers because I doubt they make any difference, which number it is. I'm sure they keep track of this in the library and so on, uh, as a matter of keeping order and being able to research things. I will read what has been rescinded. And I want you to ask yourself, what difference does it make? If not to you, to someone who benefited from and desperately needed the support of the federal government through the White House executive order system. The first on the list is advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. The second, or I won't even, I said I wouldn't keep count. The next one on the list, ensuring a lawful and accurate enumeration and apportionment pursuant to the decennial census. I'm going to put a link in the comments and in the description. Hey, Eric. Hey, Cool Kid 92. Hey. Everybody's calling me Auntie. Okay, thank you. I love it. It's a term of endearment, so I'll accept it. The next executive order that is listed as one that has been rescinded as of January 20th is organizing and mobilizing the United States government to provide a unified and effective response to combat COVID-19 and to provide the United States leadership on global health and security. Somehow that reminds me of what I heard about us pulling out of the membership for the World Health Organization. I'm not sure that that's the same thing. Hey, Ariel. Bling Nails by Ariel. You do nails? I come and help me. I look at this. It's so pathetic. I just don't do I don't do hands or feet because I'm diabetic. And once you put the paint on, I can't tell what's happening. But I do try to keep them filed. But I like to put my hands in the dirt. So much for that. But once in a while, I do get what do you call it, French. Next item of executive orders to be rescinded. Preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Next, ethics commitments by executive branch personnel. So not only are we rescinding any care for diversity, gender, sexual orientation, we are now listing ethics along with health. Speaking of health, the next one says here, protecting public health and the environment and restoring science to tackle the climate crisis. Revocation of certain executive orders concerning federal regulation. Why does guns and weaponry come to mind on that? Federal regulation. Hey, Ariel. Oh, it's you, Ariel. I said hi to you already. Executive order to revise or revoke, sorry. We're rescinding the revision of civil immigration enforcement policies and priorities. The next executive order that was rescinded is to ensure an equitable pandemic response and recovery. Next, establishing the COVID-19 Pandemic Testing Board and ensuring a sustainable public health workforce for COVID-19 and other biological threats. And other biological threats, I said. Improving and expanding access to care and treatments for COVID-19. Protecting worker health and safety. Why do we not care as a government about our first responders and frontline people, particularly in the midst of a pandemic or other biological threats? I'm just asking. The next executive order listed that was rescinded says here supporting the reopening and continuing operation of schools and early childhood education providers. Schools and early education providers, we're not supporting their reopening while we expect people to go back to work and not be doing this hybrid or work from home. The next item, economic relief related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's an interesting one, protecting the federal workforce. If you work for government, you have a lot to be worried about today. A lot. And I really empathize, sympathize, all the things with you. I have a lot of friends that work for government, and it is sad to hear them so deflated. They're jaded, and this mass exodus of people who have the option to retire is also concerning because with them goes institutional knowledge and skills that have not been passed on to the new people coming in. So now we're what? They say America is the great experiment. So now what is this? Lab test. Next executive order that was rescinded, enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform. I'll just look at you for an extra moment or two while you take that in. You want me to say it again? Okay, fine. Enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform. The next executive order on the list that was rescinded, reforming our incarceration system to eliminate the use of privately operated criminal detention facilities. What came to mind for me just now is the firefighters from the penal system who helped put out the fires in California, or are helping. I don't know that those fires have been put under control yet. Next is the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. I guess that's where Stargate comes in. More of the same under a different name. The executive order to tackle the climate crisis at home and abroad has been rescinded, along with strengthening Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Well, we knew that was coming. He couldn't wait to get his hands on that one. I'm surprised that didn't pitch up before all the others. But anyway, the next executive order that was rescinded, I'm reading down the list, creating a comprehensive regional framework to address the causes of migration, to manage migration throughout North and Central America, and to provide safe and orderly processing of asylum seekers at the United States border. I think we all heard the news yesterday that the immigration interview appointments have all been canceled and people being turned away at the border, basically. The next executive order rescinded is the establishment of interagency task force on the reunification of families. Next item, restoring faith in our legal immigration systems and strengthening integration and inclusion efforts for new Americans. A lot of this has to do with DEI and immigration. Anything to do with structure and protecting people seems to be on the chopping block here. Rebuilding and enhancing programs to resettle refugees and planning for the impact of climate change on migration. Executive order of, oh, hang on here. I'm unclear why these dates have changed from January 20th to February. Okay, these are, okay. So the dates are showing when the executive orders were passed, but they were all rescinded on the 20th. Got it. Establishment of the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Revocation of certain presidential actions. Promoting access to voting. Establishment of the White House Gender Policy Council. Guaranteeing an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity. Termination of emergency with respect to the International Criminal Court. establishment of the Presidential Commission on the Supreme Court of the United States, establishment of the Climate Change Support Office, revocation of certain presidential actions and technical amendment. That was from May 14th. I'm not sure what that one was about. Climate-related financial risk, advancing equity, justice, and opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this post, this live, and this channel. I'm going through the list of executive orders that were rescinded as of the 20th of January, Inauguration Day, which would have been Monday. Today is only Wednesday, and all of this has already happened. So where I left off here with the list is advancing equity, justice, and opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. I don't understand the thinking behind this. All right, moving on. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. That's what I was talking about in part 3 of this series. That got kind of messy at the end, to be honest. Strengthening American leadership in clean cars and trucks. Amending Executive Order 14007. I would have to look that up. It's an amendment for 14007. I'll look that up for you. Executive, in fact, let's just do it now. See what Executive Order 14007. It is the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. Like I said, only to turn around and introduce this thing called Stargate through 3 for-profit partners. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Hispanics. Oh, that wouldn't be the same group of Hispanics that voted him into office, would it? White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Native. My mouth is just not working. So let's start again. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Native Americans and strengthening tribal colleges and universities. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Black Americans. Well, I went to an HBCU. That would be us. Implementation of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Non-displacement of qualified workers under service contracts. Oh, here we go now. Catalyzing clean energy industries and jobs through federal sustainability. Jobs. Establishing the United States Council on Transnational Organized Crime. I feel like I've read that already, but it was up above, so I'll keep going. Advancing economy, efficiency, and effectiveness in federal contracting by promoting pay equity and transparency. Modifying these executive orders is one thing, but rescinding them wholesale, what is the necessity in that? And how much money does it take to do this? Continuing to strengthen Americans' access to affordable, quality health coverage. Advancing effective, accountable policing and criminal justice practices to enhance public trust and public safety. Since I fumbled that ball, let me try it again. Advancing effective, accountable policing and criminal justice practices to enhance public trust and public safety. Advancing equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals. Implementation of the energy infrastructure provisions of the Can somebody send me a new mouth, please? Let's try that again. Advancing equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals. Touchdown. Now let me try this next one again. Implementation of the energy and infrastructure provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Next up on the chopping block, promoting the arts, the humanities, and museum and library services. Beg your pardon? Lowering prescription drug costs for Americans. Big Pharma. Establishing the President's Advisory Council on African Diaspora Engagement in the United States. My people, my people. Further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Withdrawal of certain areas off the U.S. Arctic coast of the outer continental shelf from oil or gas leasing. So we are, by rescinding that, we will now have leasing off the United States Arctic coast of the outer continental shelf for oil and gas. I heard a clip the other day or yesterday. He said hadn't been in office that long. With him yelling, 47 was yelling, drill, drill, drill. Modernizing regulatory review has been rescinded, along with revitalizing our nation's commitment to environmental justice for all. Mother Earth is not going to like this. Can I tell you that I'm only, okay, so I got a few more to go. This is a lot. Moving beyond COVID-19 vaccination requirements for federal workers. Executive order to rescind the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. So let me get this straight. We have this thing called Stargate to throw billions of dollars at the industry. But we have now, or 47 has now rescinded the executive order that we have safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of it. Who's minding the store? Oh my God. Imposing certain sanctions on persons undermining peace, security, and stability in the West Bank. Next executive order, rescinded. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity through Hispanic serving institutions. So, Native American, Black/African American, whichever you prefer, and Hispanic persons will not have the benefit of the White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity. Now, here are some executive orders that only pitched up in January and they've already been rescinded here, like what, 2, 3 weeks later? These are from January 3rd. Providing an order of succession within the Department of Agriculture has been rescinded. To provide an order of succession within the Department of Homeland Security has been rescinded, along with Department of Justice, Department of the Treasury, and the Office of Management and Budget, and the Office of the National Cyber Director. Still from January 3rd, designation of officials of the Council on Environmental Quality to act as chairman. Designation of officials of the OPM, Office of Personnel Management, to act as director. The Office of Science and Technology Policy to act as director. So it sounds like he's getting rid of these positions. Chief Executive Officer of the U.S. Agency for Global Media. Administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development. USAID? Same thing with the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. No more CEO is what that sounds like. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just, I'm a layman. I'm not a politician. I'm certainly not a lawyer, so I don't get all of this. But I'm smart enough to know that this doesn't look good. Withdrawal of certain areas of the U.S. Outer Continental Shelf from oil or natural gas leasing. That one was enacted January 6th, and it's gone already. Here's an interesting one, too, from January 14th. Certification of rescission of Cuba's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism. So we're back on Cuba's case again. Revocation of National Security Presidential Memorandum 5. That is from January the 14th. And that has to do with what? The crux of it is the United States maintains as the core objective of the policy is a need for more freedom and democracy, improved respect for human rights, and increased enterprise in Cuba. Achieving these goals will require practical engagement with Cuba and the Cuban people beyond what is outlined in NSPM-5, and that takes into account recent developments in Cuba and the changing regional and global context. Why are we? It seems like we're picking a fight now. Just seems like it. Providing for the appointment of the alumni of AmeriCorps to the competitive service. That has been rescinded. Something that was just enacted January 16th. A complete and utter reversal. And that rounds up the list, people, which is plenty. Plenty, plenty. So there you have it. Some of the basic changes in our government that have occurred within the last 48 to 36 hours. I'm sorry, 48 to 72 hours. I'm sorry. I'm so stunned by this. And there's more to come. That's the thing about it. So this whole country is getting a makeover, like it or don't. It's like someone being held to the table and, you're going to get this face change, Face Off. Did you ever see that movie? I wouldn't even say a facelift, Face Off. So back to this memo that I was referring to earlier. I think I need to clean that up. I'm sorry. And it's now 30 minutes and counting. And I'll understand if you have to jump off. But please come back. Please come back. Like, subscribe, comment, and share before you go. All right. The memo. This is from the acting director of OPM, U.S. Office of Personnel Management. Now, here's the thing. It is a memorandum issued January 21st that takes effect today at 5 p.m. What takes place at 5 p.m.? Well, the objective is to close agency DEIA offices. That would be diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Each, the memo says, should take prompt actions regarding the offices and agency subunits, focusing exclusively on DEIA initiatives and programs. Specifically, agency heads should take the following steps. Number one, no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. A, send agency-wide notice to employees informing them of the closure and asking employees if they know of any efforts to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. A template has been provided. B, send a notification to all employees of DEIA offices that they're being placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately as the agency takes steps to close/end all DEIA initiatives, offices, and programs. A template is attached. C, take down all outward-facing media. That would be websites, social media accounts, etc. of DEIA offices. Letter D, withdraw any final or pending documents, directives, orders, materials, and equity plans issued by the agency in response to the now repealed Executive Order 14035, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. That was enacted or so distributed on June 25th of 2021. Finally, E, cancel. Oh, man. Okay. I know I blacked out for a minute. I forgot to set my do not disturb. So hopefully you didn't miss anything. The last thing I mentioned is item D, withdraw any final or pending documents, directives, orders, materials, and equity plans issued by the agency in response to the now repealed Executive Order 14035, which is DEIA in the federal workforce. And that executive order had been issued on June 25th, 2021. And finally, E, cancel any DEIA-related trainings and terminate any DEIA-related contractors. All right, so I'm skipping over a little piece there because it doesn't really add to what I've said already. But it says here, no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, the 31st. Submit to OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, a written plan for executing a reduction in force action regarding the employees who work in a DEIA office. And B, a list of all contract descriptions or personnel position descriptions that were changed since November 5, 2024 to obscure their connection to DEIA programs. So if you had the foresight to seeing this happen and you took action on or since November 5th of last year, then you are going to be dealing with some stuff. These employees placed on admin leave will receive pay and benefits during the administrative leave period, which apparently is going to end on the 31st of January. You're not required to, they are not required to or expected to perform any work-related tasks during this period. Not expected to come to the office. And as of the moment, email access is suspended. So saith the United States Office of Personnel Management, Washington, D.C. If you want to know more about this, you can go online. The memo is for public viewing. If you want to see the executive orders, go to the White House website. And as you are browsing, and if you can find it, send me a link to where you can download or print the U.S. Constitution. I understand that's been removed as well. I can't even give you a kiss goodbye because I'm unhappy. I'll just say goodbye and end this show. We're 37 minutes in and counting, about to be 38, and I think you've had enough of me today. I hope this is helpful in terms of you making your future plans, strategies, how you conduct yourself socially and professionally is going to quickly come into question and be something that you need to think through it. I know I'm thinking through it. The question that comes to mind here for me, given all of this, all of it in its entirety, the things that pertain to me, the things that don't, what can I do that a machine can't do? What group or subgroup do I belong to that is now vulnerable? And how will I shore up or make the difference in my own giving, gifting, contributing? What do I tell young people about their future and the hope or hopelessness of it all? I'm at a loss as to what to say next, so I'm just going to be quiet and I'm going to say goodbye. You all have a pleasant day. If you are dealing with snow or fire, as the case may be, please be safe. Think of your physical person before you worry about things. Take no unnecessary chances going out on the road to see what it looks like on another side of town. If you don't have to be out there, don't go. It's very simple. You're putting yourself at risk. You're putting other people at risk. And those who have to come to save you, you're putting them at risk as well. whether it's family or first responders. It's just not necessary. Don't take unnecessary risks today. Please and thank you. I said I wouldn't, but I will. See you next time. Have a great day.